Seeking Sanity in a Time of Chaos by Bo Pruitt. In this crucial time of worldwide failure in politics, economical crashes, the possibility of world war, racism, discrimination, oppression, COVID-19, and the complete disruption of the planet Earth as we know it, we need to remember that at one time there were some really great minds that we all depended on to provide the answers. In this current day and time, we all remember the great minds and inventors like Tesla, Edison, Ford, Gates, Jobs, and those who brought on products that improved the advancement of the world. These are the great minds that brought about inventions like cell phones, cars, and all of the physical technology toys we have today that keep our minds so occupied with technology, social media, shopping, and much more that has totally consumed us and our lives. However, we have all forgotten about the great minds of our world that solved the really big problems that we're all facing now, like Plato, Socrates, Newton, Confucius, and those that focus on our minds and how they affect the outcome of our lives in the end. It's as if we have all either forgotten or given up on the possibility that we could still have some great minds like this around now that could offer us all some hope and answers during times like this. If they existed thousands of years ago, imagine how they may have advanced in the ability to help us all now. You may have heard the phrase at some stage in your life that says history repeats itself. And there is absolutely no denying that has happened time and time again. And if you remember back to the Ice Age, there were times when that meant complete disruption or destruction of our planet in order to reform it in a method of improvement in the end. This was God's will, not our own, because God was ready for a change at His own discretion. And we have no idea that we are all so close to the edge of making history repeat itself again. Do you think God may have possibly created some human individuals that were just meant to do some good for all of us, just like those that were meant to bring us the advanced technology? Chapter 1. Who is worried about you? Please understand as you pick up these materials that there are very few people in the world that are genuinely interested and worried about you like I am. Your well-being and your existence on this planet are my number one concern. There's so much going on right now that there's very little time for people to think about anything else but themselves, their families, loved ones, and all the little details going on in their lives right now, from their cell phones, social media, television, news, politics, etc. At the age of 56, and as an author of 3 humanitarian books, I find myself trying to teach the world how to solve the problems of racism, discrimination, and oppression, as well as other very deep issues like anxiety, depression, and hardship in life. I started writing about these subjects directly to and when President Ronald Reagan was in office. Now in the time of COVID-19, racism protests and outrage, and every single extremely important subject that I was warning about and received such support for 30 years ago has all come to a head and can no longer be denied. And the bottom line is that our country will not survive unless all of the materials here are ingested within more than a dominating percentage of the American public. There has never been any more materials written in American history that can make a bigger difference at a more crucial time than this. This is a basic education on the things that we should all already know, for God's sakes. The common sense level here is so easy that it should be impossible for anyone to not comprehend it as long as they can read. A big part of the problem here is because the news media has been sent these materials literally thousands of times through official press releases here in the United States, but the press does not prefer information that is life-saving over information that is life-threatening or life-endangering because life-threatening and life-endangering means better rates for the press and the media. As of now, a large percentage of people that have been presented with my materials through reading or listening wrote me back personally via email and told me that their lives had changed in such a variety of ways that it's become extremely important to an author to never quit. Even though some of this is very graphic in detail and heart-wrenching, I am willing to absorb every bit of it and offer help if it means another individual survives. As suggested, some of these stories are extremely dire about people who just picked up the information at the last minute before they were about to end their lives, and soldiers with PTSD who tell you that they can now think more clearly and understand how their mind actually works. People with stories about how you instantly changed their lives or stopped them from suicide, depression, anxiety, and hardships becomes highly addicting for an author. It also becomes very frustrating when you know the whole world could be saved if everyone would just listen for such a short time. This book was made for everyone, regardless of who you are. If you would like to test me on that, let's just have a go at it real quick. I would like to ask you if you really think you understand how your mind works. And then I would like to ask you if you understand that whatever you spend the most time thinking about is what actually happens to you and your life. Now I want to tell you that even though you have no idea this has been going on all of your life, you never have to accept thoughts and a large variety of situations that come into your life, because the truth is, whatever you want to think about is up to you. When you first hear this, it just sounds like a set of words, and we all go, yeah, yeah, yeah. But what it really means is that you are the person who is in control of what you think about, regardless of what's going on at that given moment in time. When something or someone really sets you off, you can take control of your thoughts at that very given moment and decide that you want to think about a cheeseburger or a hot fudge sundae. It's such a simple concept, but it's amazing how many people go through their entire life without ever taking any notice. As of today, there are very few people in the world that are not struggling in one way, shape, or form. This could mean mentally, financially, or physically. However, we all have one tool that can fix all three of these difficulties. This tool is commonly referred to as the brain or the human mind. If we go to the store and purchase a tool to help us in our lives, it usually comes with instructions. However, the most important tool that we have, we were given no instructions for ever. And if we are not taught how to use this tool properly, it can all go wrong really quickly. Your mind, or your brain, controls what you think about and how you react to any variety of situations. But for some reason, most of us never get the fact that we are in charge of what we think about and how we use our brain or our minds. Once an individual is able to cross over this barrier and realize that they are in full control of every thought they have, everything changes. From the time we were born, we tend to just accept thoughts as they come and try to deal with them accordingly, and many of us go through our entire lives never realizing that it doesn't have to be this way. An individual has the power to think about whatever they want to, regardless of what the current situation or issue is at the time. The ability to use our minds to control every second of our destiny is the most important lesson that none of us were ever taught. And this is an extremely key issue. However, when you add on the fact that we have the ability to use our minds to control our emotions and the effect that the outside world and others may have on us, This is the second missing key that is usually never found. An individual's emotions affect the way they feel physically and mentally. When you combine the two together, it basically determines whether you're going to have a good day or a bad day. If you were just able to control these two aspects in your life, it means a 180-degree turnaround instantly. And the key to doing this is simply realizing that you are the one who is in control of what you think about every second of every day. The next time the world slaps you with something that you're not prepared for, just try thinking about what you want for dinner, or a goal that you have in mind, or something that really makes you happy. Something you're not prepared for could mean anything from a bad news report about how many coronavirus deaths there are to someone setting you off in an argument or discussion. It could also be from personal loss or not feeling well physically or mentally. The next time this happens to you, you have to remember that it's your choice of whether you want to think about it right then and there or not. And if you choose to think about something else, that's exactly what's going to happen. You will find yourself thinking about this other subject rather than the one that's eating away at you. After the first two or three times you realize that you were the one who completely changed your train of thought, you'll see the light come on. And we all know that once the light is on, everything becomes much clearer. The best part of all this is that whatever you choose to think about is what's going to happen. If you spend your time thinking about dinner or a goal that you want, take notice, because the next thing you know, that dinner will be in front of you or that goal you want will be reached. If you spend your time thinking about the damage life is taking on you or the current situation has brought on, it will get worse. If you feel that you really need to spend time thinking about the issues that are at hand, be sure you focus on the solutions. This is how we eventually fix every complication in life, even though we never realize it's happening this way. Chapter number 2. What about the rest of the world? As of right now, ourselves and the rest of the world are in a really big mess. However, our mess is a little deeper than those of our foes, enemies, and the ones we need to be leery of. When the people of a country talk bad about each other and show signs of racism, infighting, the non-ability to get along, it makes them look weak to the rest of the world. And when the politicians of a country practice partisan politics and the inability to accomplish goals because the two parties can't agree on anything, it also makes that country look weak and even weaker. And then when the media of that country broadcasts to the whole world all the weaknesses of the individuals and all the weaknesses of the government, it completely destroys the reputation of that nation, which is our country, the United States of America. This is the dim and disgusting light that the U.S. has shed on the rest of the world currently. We are no longer looked up to as the world's power. We are looked up on as the crumbling power. I don't know how versed everyone is on world history and world war, but when you are a nation that wants to be the world power and you see the world power crumbling, that's the time to attack and go for number one. The way the rest of the world views the United States right now is absolutely pathetic. They see us as a crumbling, falling nation. And all this does for them is offer them opportunity for their future, their economies, and their own well-being. If you think for 1 minute that they would hesitate to take us over in order to have these things, that would be the typical American way of thinking. The racism, discrimination, and infighting has reached a level that has to be addressed or lead to our own demise. The partisan politics and inability to accomplish goals from our government has just cemented the deal when it comes to verifying we're falling and doors are opening for the rest of the world. That's the way it really is right now. But again, we're all so wrapped up in ourselves, technology, social media, and what others think about us that we have completely closed our eyes to what is really going on as a result of our actions. It's one of the largest shameful situations I've ever studied or observed about world history and the way a nation behaved as a lot. Chapter 3. What to do next? What to do next is quite a crucial issue, don't you think? Because I think I made it very clear that the time is running short. So in order for all of us to make as many changes that need to be made in a very short time, it's going to take a group effort. People that spend time focusing on their dislike for other folks due to their race, creed, or color need to decide if that issue is more important than the well-being of their own life, mother, and children. As I said, the rest of the world is watching, and they see our differences with these other people as our weakness. They see our differences with other people as an opportunity for them to take everything that you have, everything, including the lives and the blood. So what are we going to do about this? And the key word here is we. I can think of two things right off the bat that need to be done. For those of you that stand on my side of the fence where my views are towards racism and the destruction that is done to this country, we need to learn to make some apologies. We need to learn to suck it up and apologize to the races for the discrimination and the inequality and the wrongdoing. For those that have a harder time releasing hatred towards others, you need to decide what is more important. Is it your differences towards others or the well-being of your wife, your children, your family, and yourself? The rest of the people in the world that want what we have don't care about your views towards other people in America. They are only interested in improving their own well-being and taking everything we have for their own. That will even mean your daughter, your mom, your father, your children, your whole family. No one is excluded. They don't need us once it's theirs. This is the reality of what is really happening right now at this moment in time. And until a larger percent of us catch on than not, the clock is going to continue to race towards the end much quicker. The biggest problem is that we have already worn out the clock to the point where it can end at any minute and during our current lifetimes. No one is exempt right now. Between ourselves and our ancestors, we have all used all of our laurels and spent our time foolishly thinking it can never run out while we're on this earth. But all that has changed now. And those that want what we have are chomping at the bit to get it, and they're waiting on the perfect opportunity. They all know that one more major incident in the United States is all it will take to put us into complete anarchy. And as we all know, that could happen at any second now. So that's how much time you have left to make the change. One more little incident is all it will take. We have no more warnings or threats, no more excuses, and no more last chances. This is it. We are in the last minutes where a decision has to be made one way or another. So I think I made it quite obvious here that We can no longer wait on each other as people to make these decisions for us and tell us what to do and how it's all to be done. The government can't do it. Your mama can't do it for you. You're the only one who can get it done. We are the only ones that can get it done for ourselves, our well-being, and some preservation of what little is left. I know I've asked a lot of you to put aside your differences with other people, but in the beginning, I handed you a roadmap back to sanity in this horrible time of chaos. Saving your family, your children, and everyone you care about is my intention here. How far do you think I could make it through the process of saving souls if I held grudges? Chapter 4. Peace at Home. Because we all need some peace at home, correct? I live in a world of extremely low drama. I'm in a relationship with the best friend that I've ever had, where we had 3 rules that we set up when we first met because we had been through so much crap in our relationships with other people. And these 3 rules were: number 1, no yelling. You can talk about it nicely. Number 2, no demands. You don't have to tell someone to do this or do that. You can ask nicely. And number 3, no expectations. Because the very first time you expect someone to do something, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. People that like to create drama, chaos, and confusion will always suffer on the hard end of mental wear and physical wear. When these things enter our lives, it shortens our lives. And the only way to put an end to it is to be aware that they exist and then talk about bringing it to an end. Talk about it with those you care about it, or talk about it to yourself. Just be sure you have the talk on a regular basis to keep the drama, the chaos, and the confusion constantly to a minimum level. Being consciously aware of the damage that's being done can also help bring an end to it as well. So many of life's daily difficulties and confusion can be ended just by using the lessons in Chapter 1. Your mind is the only tool you have that determines your happiness or your downfalls. The first time you catch yourself blaming anyone else or anything else for your own downfalls, just remember you put yourself in their presence or in that situation. We introduce ourselves to employees, employers, lovers, and friends, and people all over the world all the time. But when it all goes wrong, the natural tendency is to blame them for it. But at the end of the day, you put yourself there for the damage to be done. You put yourself in their company or in that situation, and it's all your fault. Life at home, the office, out on the town, or out of town is the same when it comes to using your mind to take charge and be a happier person. Always remember that you are in control of what you think about. You think about what you want to. Think about the solutions to your problems, remembering that thinking about the damage only makes it worse. But thinking about the quicker solution, answer, or happiness is always what brings on the good. It's your mind. Use it.